Dr. Janet Bond Brill, I am so glad to be talking to you today. And when we spoke a couple weeks ago before doing these videos on nutrition and your advice for everybody, that there were two things that stuck out for me about you and your philosophy. And one was about that you really are about interpreting science for people so that they're able to understand it easily. And two is that whatever we can do to avoid heart disease, that really is what it is, because it's the #1 killer. So let's talk about one, just interpretation of science. Like, how much do people understand or not understand? How did that become your focus?
Well, I think that in my field, the field is rampant with misinformation. And unfortunately, anyone can say that they're a nutritionist and people believe them. So that's a real problem in my field. So I spend most of my time basically translating the science. I am a scientist, and I base my recommendation on sound science because I believe that's the truth. And so I spend most of my time debunking all of these myths that are circulating on the internet that are just absolutely false, and a lot can be actually quite harmful.
Well, and we've got some videos that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about eggs, and we're going to talk about sugar, and we're going to talk about salt, because things are, and coconut oil, because it's a hero, it's a hoax, it's a hero, it's a hoax.
True.
How do you process when this research says something's great, this research says that it's garbage, and then you find out that there's bad research out there? So as a scientist, how do you evaluate what to really believe in?
Well, as a scientist, I was taught that you can never base a recommendation on one study. So it has to be a mountain of scientific data that adds up to proving a hypothesis. So that's number one. Number two, you have to see what the bulk of the scientists are saying, and it's not just one scientist. So I think that's kind of what I focus on, as well as the type of study, and where it's published. I want to see it in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. I want to see that it was a randomized clinical trial as opposed to an observational study. So there are lots of factors that go into my kind of deciphering what's true and what's not.
Got it. All right, and then let's talk about heart disease, because that really is your passion and your great fear about for people.
Well, I think because, on a personal note, heart disease has devastated my family. So I went into this because I don't want to die of a heart attack. My father died of a heart attack, actually his second one. My grandmother had a stroke. My brother had high blood pressure and died of kidney disease at age 56. So my husband has had a heart attack. My father-in-law has had a heart attack. They both luckily have survived. So I think that personal reason is what has propelled me into this fascination that I have with preventing heart disease. So it all started with me.
It's all about you.
Of course.
But of course.
Yes.
But the important thing is that so much of it is preventable, even
Yes.
if you're genetically predisposed.
That's true.
As you said, if you're genetically predisposed, then you monitor. Then you work with a doctor earlier on.
Yes, you do.
Then you make different choices.
And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because what I want people to know is that heart disease is a largely preventable disease. And I live by that. I not only talk the talk, I walk the walk, and I do it for personal reasons, but I also do it because I want the world to know that the #1 killer of American men and women and people around the world is heart disease that is largely preventable with a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And that's what I focus on.
And just because your father died of it at age whatever he did, and my grandfather died of it at age 40, I think 48 or 49, but my father lived till he was almost 85.
Well, it's a lifestyle disease,
Right.
so my thinking is change the lifestyle, you prevent the disease.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's get to those videos.
Okay.
If you like what you saw today, come to bottomlineinc.com and see even more videos with Dr. Janet Bond Brill. And do me a favor, share it. Tell your friends about it, because this is such important information. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of men and women. We want the word out, and we want people healthy.